Cartoons with John-Marc.
Hey, do you have a pencil and some paper? Let's begin today's lesson.
All right, let's do this fun lesson on how I colored in this little dinosaur. What I did is I took one of my sketches in my up-and-coming dinosaur book. This will be out in a few weeks from now. But what I just wanted to share, the techniques on how I color. I took the third step. I have a book that I teach on step 1, step 2, and step 3. This is one of the steps, the final one. So what I'm doing here is I'm in Photoshop currently right now. And I'm just picking colors randomly that I have in my imagination what this dinosaur might look like in colors. You might choose something different, but what you'll see is the brush I'm working on with is actually a brush I created, a custom brush in Photoshop. It's kind of, I call it my watercolor brush, because if I let go now and go back and forth, it'll keep on getting darker and darker and darker. So I'm pressing down now and it keeps it looking like one, like a magic marker. And I just got to change the size, get a little bit smaller. So what I'm just going to share with you is, this isn't a finished picture in any way. You can see the sketchiness of the art, and the coloring is not going to be 100% perfect either, but it's kind of like a concept art. So you don't go to the full stage on finishing up something that you're not so sure when you're working with a client or a company that wants to know how this particular animal, or in this case, a dinosaur, may look like. So this is a quick way of sharing what you envision what the colors can be, and that's when they can come back and forth and say, hey, change this to maybe blue and yellow, yellow or purple, green, you know, whatever that you may want to play around with. But now what I did in Photoshop is I have one layer with the line art in it. That layer I used on the opacity, I customized it to be multiplied. So you actually have that layer where it's transparent going through. So the white is not there technically. And then on another layer, I'm just coloring right now. Sometimes I've worked on coloring when I'm doing a final version. I could have up to 100 different layers when I have a big project, a big picture that I'm coloring in. So I might have the highlights and the shadows and the foreground, the background, the sky, all on different backgrounds, layers that I can play with. So as you can see here now, the brush, when I'm working over again, I'm playing around with some of the colors, just getting a little bit darker. This isn't going to be, how should I say, color theory lesson. This is just giving some tone, some quick gradation, and some levels so that you can kind of share with your customer or client, or just even for yourself and practicing. And I just love doing this in Photoshop. So if you're doing this in traditional watercolor, colored pencils, the same method, you're just doing it, you're just sketching it on a piece of paper and you're just coloring it in free form like that. So, but I'm just using the computer, so it's a technique that I like. The brush I have, you can see here, I got a little darker for the legs there, and I'm not worried about if I'm going outside the line again, because this is a concept art that I'm working on once again. So what you see is I'm kind of looking for the big areas first, and then I'll color all that in, because now I can overcolor on some of the areas there. Like the shadow, you may want to actually not use a darker version. You might actually want to add some blues or purples in there and put it on another layer. But for right now, not going to discuss that. I'm just going to be doing a quick version. As you can see now, I made it a little lighter, and I can blend it, make it a little bit smaller. I can get like a highlight right there, highlight underneath the tail. You know, better than that is actually getting a blue in there. I'm thinking, let me do that. I want to get a little bit darker here first. Let me get this a little darker here. So what you can see here is the stages. I lay the flat color in first, and then when I'm pressing, I'm going back, forth on my custom brush that will give the effect of like an airbrush or like a watercolor or gouache that you're working with.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And now, back to our show.
All right, so as you can see here, the belly area there, the back side, and the little knees and the ankles. I'm getting a little darker here and there. Just quickly putting this all together. Let's see, a little shadow underneath the neck, underneath the arm, a little bit heavier, going back and forth. And here's the thing that's kind of nice, but working on the computer, just because you're working on the computer doesn't mean the computer is doing it. You are the creator, the artist that actually is using it as a tool. So really, if you know how to do traditionally, this is like a highlight. I went a bit lighter, so it looks like a little bit more dimension on there, a little highlight on there. So if you know traditionally how to do airbrush or watercolor, so when you work on the computer, it'll be more really powerful for you. But if you just know how to work on the computer, not working traditionally, I don't recommend it that way. I recommend you need to do it traditionally to know and understand the feel, and you'll appreciate the computer so much better. It saves time, definitely will, but it's not that I would say I do everything on the computer. Dun, dun, dun. So what I was going to say is when you're doing traditional art and you're doing watercolor, color pencils or mock-up or markers, it's not forgiving because you don't have undos, you don't have unlimited layers. You need to really be focused and understand what you're putting down. Is very hard to backtrack in some materials or the actual. I'm just focusing. Here's a blue, a little bit more blue. Yeah, where there's dark shadows. I like that a little bit better. So the medium that you're using traditionally, you can focus on that, and that would really make you a really, really, really strong artist. Yeah, because you can see with the blue here, because now I'm blending. The brush that I have is kind of overlapping the colors below that I have on there, and I can always backtrack on here. So if you work with oils or acrylics, it's more forgiving. You can easily drop on the colors, highlights, or shadows a lot easier than on watercolor. Color pencils, the same thing. When it's down, it's down. But some mediums are a little bit more forgiving. Like I loved airbrushing all the time when I was a kid, and you would just have to re-airbrush over that area, but you would have to frisk it out. That area, Frisket was an actual material that was like a big transparency, sticky scotch tape, I'll just say. The whole sheet would go over the picture, and you take an X-Acto knife and you cut out the area that you just want to airbrush out. And it's a lot of work, a lot of work. So what I'm doing here, what takes maybe like a half hour or so on an airbrush, it could probably take an hour to two on just a basic form. But it's like a puzzle. So you just take certain pieces out, and then you can put them back on there when you're just working on certain areas. But it's definitely, I loved it. All right, I'm making a little lighter around the cheek here right now. And let's get a little bit lighter, blending a little bit more. Yeah, that's it. I like it. So you can kind of see the feel that's kind of playing into the color in my head right now. And I feel pretty good with it, how it is. I'm just going to go a little bit further and get a little bit more tone, more shadow, highlights, maybe some blues and purples, and put a little background quickly behind him too. And a little highlight there, here, quick. So now what you can see, if you remember the very beginning when I started, was very flat. And what I did here now is adding those little shade area and those highlights. You can actually get more dimension. So you just don't want to shade flat. Move the brush, or in this case, like this watercolor offset brush that I created, flat. Always you want to give it kind of like a curve, like it's going around a ball. So the body, the belly is kind of curved. The head, that might be more flat on top, so it could have flat, but right around the neck, it has that curve again. So you might want to blend it. Like here at the belly here, I like that blue. You see that blue? That's like a nice cool color. You can even use a nice fuchsia purple at times. I'm just using the blue because it's a cool color. Not cool as COO cool, but it's a not a warm color, but it kind of cools off the color on there. And then the eyes, I'm just going to shadow around that a little bit there. And then I'm going to color the eyeball white. But that's after I finished everything out on the basic face really quick. Let's get a little bit bigger there, a little bit more highlight there. There, let's get a little brighter. So one of the things that you can learn traditionally, I would recommend, here's a highlight there around there, is it's more pushed in. So now I can see the shadow, the shape of the face changes when I just add that shadow. I would recommend taking like spheres, boxes, triangles, or even cones, and start using your traditional method that you like, if it's magic markers or if it's colored pencils and watercolors or acrylics, and just practice on shape so you understand when you're blending, you can blend colors, but how it actually, the sphere doesn't look flat. You kind of give that dimension. And a highlight there. Let me just clean the eye. So here we go with the eye right now. Little white inside. I got to make another layer. So I can, let me, 1 second, let me get that little white or a little gray first. And okay, I'm going to make another layer so I can put the white highlight on top of the black line. Since all the line art is above my colors right now on the layers. So this is another layer. So you can see the white's going over the black because that's on a layer above the line art. It gives that highlight on there. And I couldn't do that if the colors were below because of, the black's above and you wouldn't see the white dot. So I had to put it on the highlight on another layer above. And little spots now. I'm going to keep them red. I could have made them like a nice slate blue or green or yellow, thinking of it. But I just thought of just blending it similar to his nose and his little horn there, how it looks like. Let's get that other one a little bit smaller, just coloring these little in here. Yeah, I feel pretty good with it. It's not bad. Not bad just for a conceptual comp. So you can show it to somebody and you're like, hey, yeah, I like that. You can finish it up, ink it in, use pencil lines, and then you can put it on different products. If it's mugs, clocks, a t-shirt, have it say something kind of funny, make a calendar out of all these dinosaurs. Put it on a towel, plate. There's so many different ways. Make stickers out of that, magnets. Create a puzzle out of it. Say make birthday cards out of it and say happy birthday on your 5th birthday. That's being an artist is fun because you can use your imagination, your creativity, and then you can put it on a lot of different things. So here we go. Let's get that a little bit highlight on there. And you can see what I did. I'm creating. I'm using the hue, saturation, and brightness tool for the color palette there. So I'm using right here so I can make it really white more. And I'm just manually switching the point size. I'm going to make like little freckles on the side of his face there. So I choose the color and then I can change the saturation and the brightness, and that's blending the colors in there later. A simple way of doing it. This is how I work, and it doesn't mean it's a right way or a wrong way. You might have a different method, and that's perfectly fine. If you achieve what you're looking for, then game on with that one. But experiment, practice, see other artists how they might work and do things.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. And now, back to our show.
Somebody would have taken maybe like a lasso and highlighted all around the little character, the body, and then in one quick button, press it once, and then the body would all been there filled up and flat. You can do that. That's probably a little bit faster than what I did, but since it's pencil sketching and I have the brush effect that's overlapping, it's not perfect. It kind of looks cool that way instead of a shaped, hard edge shaped. And that's just a preference again. There's again, now let's see what else can we do here. All right, that's looking good. The belly, I like the legs, a little highlight, a little bit more. Let's get some highlights on those nails right now. A little blue on there glowing. Oops, let's get a little smaller. There we go. There we go, a little blue. Doo-doo. And then when I do the background, I'm going to have the ground in one layer and the sky in another layer, 2 different layers. You can have multiple layers, but for right now, I'm just doing it simple. And I just go back over 2 layers and I'll just make them out. All right, before I get there, let's get some more highlights here and there. All right, yeah. All right. Yeah, I feel pretty good with this right now. So let's try to figure out the background. I'm going to work on some greens, create the layer, make a new layer now. Make another layer for the sky too, and like the ground might be I'm thinking like this. I gotta make a little bit bigger the brush right now. Play around with what's the tone? What color green? It could be blue too, you know, it doesn't have to be green or lush like a jungle. It could be like more like a desert too. Let me get this a little bit bigger. There we go, a little lighter. So it depends on my brush and how much pressure I'm putting when I'm going down. So, and then as you can see, when I go over and over, you can see a lot better how this brush works on this large area. And I'm just randomly press down, moving circles, moving the brush in different ways. It gives it very much organic feel, so it doesn't look like perfect straight lines. Again, that's just my preference. Let's put a little more of a navy color in there, a little in the background, just this blend it in there. You can add some blues in there, some yellows, you know, for that. Yeah, I'm just making it a little bit darker. The shadow, I'll come back and I'll add it more like a purple, and I use a multiply to blend that purple into the background. It'll be a nice shadow, giving them a little time. I'm just randomly just putting this a little bit dark. And if these were like bushes in the background and the specks. All right, so this would be like if it's a purple with a shadow, and I'm making a layer, and then I'll actually again put it on multiply. So when I'm working, as you can see, the purple is not coming through like purple, but it kind of looks dirty, but it's not a brown. It's actually that purple in the box above. And when I just work with it, as you can see, it's blending that purple with the green below it. So it makes a nice little shadow. So it's not like a dark green I'm working with. Let's create a sky. Let's get this really big brush now. Yeah, there we go. I'll start off with a light one, come back with a heavier one after. A little darker, I mean, not a heavier one, a darker blue on there. Yeah. Yeah, I feel good. This is just a simple comp, no major background, kind of like blurring it out. Darker on there. And a little darker here. A little popping up there. Yep. So I hope you learned something new. As an artist, what you really want to do is practice on different mediums. Thanks for watching this episode and have a great day.
Rocking waves now, yo-yo singing. She loves to sing, she loves to sing. Here comes harmony. Dolphins jump high. Jesus loves you and me. Rocking waves for free. Jesus loves you and me. Yeah. Colorful coral reefs, sea turtles glide, waving to you, waving hallelujah tide. Jesus loves you and me. Rocking waves for free. Jesus loves you and me. Yeah. Colorful coral reefs, sea turtles glide, waving you, waving hallelujah tide.
All right, now this is a fun lesson. It's going to be a quickie. It's going to be under 2 minutes or 2 minutes on top, and this intentional. I'm working on 11 by 17, and I'm just timing myself out right now intentionally. What can you do when you're drawing for 2 minutes? These are nice little skill sets that you can do. It's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So right now, let me just do a little house, and within 2 minutes, how much can I get done through this sketching? It's kinda like, a little like a marathon, kinda really go quick with it, but again, you're training yourself. If you need to be at a client or animation, you gotta draw really quick, traditional animation versus, the style that a lot of people are working with a computer, which is fine, but it's still not my preference. I'm old school, and I'll stick to that. So as you can see here, I'm just going my first step very light, and then I'll come back and I'll add a little bit harder lines on there at the same time. So again, this is not much detail and not pressured for time, but I'm good with that. It's a good practice run. This is something that you can do daily at the same time, or you might choose for one time a week and then set a whole half hour aside and just do as many as you can. I'm timing myself watching on my watch right now. When I get too close, I'm going to just stop. But now I'm about halfway. I got another 30 seconds or so on there. Okay, let's get some little stones here and there randomly around. All right, this is like a 2-point perspective house, and those are other lessons I'll definitely share with you. All right, let's get a little bit heavier here. We got a little bit more time still on play. Going to be a little darker, a little darker. What else? Let's add a little cloud in the background there. Another one all the way on the other side. Yep. So getting to 2 again, let's sign and date. And once again, I hope you practice with these little short lessons.